Hello, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, madam.
Hello, good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning, madam.
Good morning, madam.
Please, how are you doing?
Hello.
Hello, madam. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Please, how are you doing?
Please, we are fine. How are you too?
God's grace, I'm also doing very well.
We thank God.
Okay. But why am I hearing only one voice? Is it just one person that I have on call? Because I'm seeing about 15 people here.
No, madam.
The
No, madam.
gentlemen.
No,
Uh-huh.
madam.
When I hear your voice, then I'm happy. It gives me strength. All right. So I believe you are all doing well.
Yes, please. We are all fine.
You're doing well, madam. How about you?
God's grace, the grace is keeping us. I'm also doing well. Okay. So we thank God for a new day as He has brought us together again as one big family in the educational environment. Without spending too much time, please, one of you should pray with us to start the session.
Please, let's pray. Heavenly
Okay.
Father, we are grateful unto Thee for today. We thank Thee for how far Thou hast brought us. Dear Lord, as we are about to begin our lesson, we pray for Thy heavenly wisdom, knowledge and understanding. We pray for strength for our lecturer to be able to guide us throughout the lecture. Pray for wisdom for her as well. We ask all this through Thy Son and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 All right. Thank you. But let me ask you, the gentleman on this platform, is it that praying in English is difficult for us, or praying in public is a problem? In fact, even if you are a Muslim, you are allowed to pray, because we are all praying to God. So next time when we are praying, I will want to hear a male voice. You can pray in any language of your choice as well, because it was God who created all the languages, so He will understand. All right. So thank you so much for time this weekend as well. Last week we started with this course that is human-computer interaction. So we look at the introduction of the course, what the course is all about, the aim and the objective of the course. So we mentioned the 3 pillars. That is the main focus of the course. We mentioned usability. We mentioned human satisfaction. And then we also mentioned human experience. So the objective is that we will design a system that is usable for every person, no matter the age, no matter the ability or inability, no matter the academic level or educational background, as we may be saying it, no matter the gender, no matter the cultural and national background, and no matter the cognitive capabilities. When we are designing a system, we make sure that whatever system we design is usable by all those people, and they should be satisfied at the end of the day that the system has really solved their problems or helped them achieve their task. So that is the main concept of the course. Then, as part of that, we also mentioned that in studying this course, we are studying it from two angles. That is, studying as you as a user of a technology or any device, any computing device. So I believe ever since we started this course, now when you are using any system, you start with some analysis. You look at the interface, you look at how flexible the system is, you look at how interactive it is and all that. You have started assessing it. And as time goes on, we will learn more about it. That will help you to assess systems better. So that is learning as an end user of a system. Then the other angle is you learning this course as a designer of a system, because we are computing students. When you are doing IT, you are doing computer science, you are doing information science and all those things, you are a computing student. So we are expecting that at the end of the day, you should be able to develop a particular system, whether it's a hardware or a software, depending on the course that you are doing. And if you are designing, you should know the guidelines, the principles, the standards you need to follow. You should understand how the computer works and then how human also work and how both of them interact, so that you can design a system that will be usable. So that is actually the essence of this particular course, as was introduced or mentioned last week. So today we are looking at, or we'll be picking the different factors within the course. The first one is the human, then we have the computer, and then we have the interaction aspect. We'll be taking them one by one. Then after that, then we'll proceed to looking at the rules, the guidelines, the other features that comes with it. So today we are looking at the human. So when we look at the human part, for the computer part, I'll give that one to you as an assignment. So you go and read around that, because you have learned about computer right from basic school, the inputs, the outputs, and all those things. And it's also part of the assignment that you did last week. So for that one, you are going to read around it. Then next week, God willing, we'll look at interaction. Then now we dive deeper. Okay. So today's class is going to be more of interaction rather than just a lecture or teaching. The human. How do human beings receive or input information? How is information inputted into the human? So today we are doing discussion. This is class discussion. So how do humans receive information? It's a question, a question to the class, not to myself.
So human beings receive information through their sensory data like the ears, eyes, etc.
Relax. Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm interested in everything you are saying. So relax and then pick it point by point so that some of us who are writing it can note it down.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. So I was saying human beings receive information through the sensory organs like their ears, their eyes, their skin, etc. So when someone touches your skin, you feel that, okay, something has touched me, and it communicates to your brain before you take action or whatever. So before you be able to take action on certain things or in your life, you have to either hear the person saying something or however it relates to. then you act based on the information that has been fed into your system.
All right, thank you, Desmond. So Desmond says we receive information or we receive data through the sensory system. Through the sensory system. Any other opinion, please? Any other?
Madam, please, I think he has mentioned all.
Are you sure? Okay, fine. He has mentioned, or if you say so. So
Madam,
how many senses? Yes, yes.
we can receive information. We can receive information through gestures, like signs. Yeah, signs and gestures.
We can receive or we can output. There is a difference between the input and then the output. So now we are doing the input of the human part.
Yeah, those who cannot speak, they do have gestures, or you when you understand those gestures, you receive that information.
Okay. But when someone is giving you a gesture and you are understanding, the person giving a gesture is not taking an input. Too. The person is rather
The
giving an
person receiving
output to
that,
you. Do you get it? It's the person who is receiving that is doing the input. So the one doing the gesture is the output side.
yes.
All right. So now let's come back to Desmond. What Desmond said. We receive data through the sensory systems. So now let's be specific. How many senses do we have? Sairam, you said he mentioned all. So how many did he mention? Because
He mentioned the eye, the ear, the body, and touch.
So how
And
many senses do we have?
5.
5.
So how many are they?
There are
5.
5.
So we have the eye, and we have the ear, which is the auditory. Then we have
Yeah.
what again? We have the skin.
Yeah.
And then what again?
The nose.
The nose.
The nose for
And the
smell.
tongue.
And the tongue.
Is what?
The tongue.
The tongue to taste.
I don't
I
know
think.
whether. Mhm.
Please.
And the last one is the tongue for taste.
Yes, madam.
Yes.
All right. Now, as we speak, do we use all these senses, these 5 senses in technology?
No.
Please.
Okay, someone said no, so no. Which of them do we use? And which of them are we not using now? When we are interacting with technology.
We use the eyes.
We use the eye, the hand, and the ear.
When you say the hand, what do you mean by the hand? We are referring to the senses. So when you say the hand, what does it mean?
We use
Which
the
sense are
hand,
you referring
The
to?
body.
the body.
So we use the vision, we use the auditory, and we use what again? The touch and feel. Do we use the taste in interacting with technology?
No, please.
I
Are we
think
all
we
saying
can.
no?
Madam, please, is it the tongue or taste?
The tongue is is a part
The
of the
tongue
body
is for
system.
tasting.
When you're talking, then we have to say taste, but not tongue. So when we are talking about the seeing, when we are talking about the system, humans, and then we say vision. We don't say the eye.
Okay.
That's why we have audio visual, eye and ear. Audio visual system. All right, so taste. Do we use it in interacting with the computer technology?
Yes.
How? Any example?
Yeah,
Okay.
madam,
So,
I think that
Yeah, Sariram, how?
okay. So we use the taste to we sometimes talk to AI or to ask for
But
information.
is it taste?
You are not tasting.
Okay.
Okay. So someone should help us. Yes, are we do we use the taste?
I believe we
Prince,
don't
you
use the taste. We can't use the taste to communicate with the system.
within technology.
Yeah.
madam, I think if we do use the taste.
Okay, Justice.
Yeah,
Justice, justify yourself.
okay. Hello, madam. Please can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I think there's a mouth part. Yes, that sits on top of the tongue.
A mouth pad.
Yeah, mouth part.
Okay, so what is its purpose?
Uh, hmm. Madam, I heard it somewhere, so I don't really know the purpose of it.
Okay.
Madam, so it's just like electronic tank for testing like chemicals in the science lab.
For testing.
Yes, so we don't
Yes,
use the
in the
human tank. We use electronic tank.
So if it is electronic tank, then it is still not the human.
Yes.
It is just like any normal device that we are using to do something. All right. Okay, thank you. So as we speak, we are very much sure about the audio, the visual, and then the feel and touch systems. But when it comes to taste and then smell, maybe new technologies are now being invented. But now we don't have some in use now. Okay, so now we are moving down. So that is we've looked at the input aspect of human. Now the processing part. How do human beings process information? Alex,
Madam,
yes. How do human beings process information?
we process information by thinking.
So what do we use?
Use the brain.
Okay, so we use the brain. Any other? Salom. Salom, are you there? Salom, if you are not able to answer this question, then you are telling me you, as you don't process any information. And once you're a human being, you don't process any information, it means something else.
Hello, madam. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, sorry. I was finding it difficult to unmute. My phone was not
Sorry.
responding. Yeah,
Sorry.
so
I thought
we
you could not process information.
so we process with our brain by like analyzing and trying to deduce some understandings using the brain.
All right. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. So I know you can highly process information. Okay. So now we've looked at the processing part. So now output. How do we output information as human beings?
Now, through speaking or talking.
Okay, Prince. Yeah.
Yeah.
You said through what? Speaking.
Speaking, yes.
Okay. Any other?
Writing as well.
Outputting. Writing.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other?
Gesture
Our
sign.
actions.
That's
Okay. So
gesture sign.
that is gesture. So the
Yeah.
action is gesture, giving the body signals. All right.
But
So these are the ways. Yes, Aram.
please, is perception correct?
A very big question. Perception. Is it part of outputting information?
I think the perception should be part of the process.
Okay. Someone said he thinks it should be part of process. Colleagues, there's a very big question on perception. Is it part of output or out of process or input?
Madam, I think with the perception, it's still going to reflect in your actions or what you see. Yes.
So is it an input, output, or process?
I think process, madam.
We think it's a process.
Yes, because the brain is going to process things based on your understanding, your perceptions, and your analyzation, what you analyze, depending on what the topic is about here.
Okay. Collins, you are unmuted. I don't know if you want to contribute.
Yeah, I was going to say processing, because you know you get a perception based on an input you receive.
Okay. Sarah, is your question answered?
Yes, madam.
Or you want
Thank
to hear from me?
you. I'll be glad.
Oh, well, you are working with experts, so.
Yes.
So yeah, that's why I always tell you right from beginning that when it comes to mature class, the teacher doesn't teach. We all learn together. Because
Eh,
you know something that I don't know. So we are all learning together. So yes, as they have said, perception is part of processing. Because how do you perceive something? It's based on the input that you receive, whether you have seen something, you have seen someone's gesture. So somebody, the first day, no, then the person showed some attitude, not even talking, no, just a gesture. So based on the reception of that input, then you now perceive that it appears this person doesn't like me, or it appears this person likes. So you are processing. Do you get it? So person is rather a process, but not an output. Okay, so now we have seen how human being receives an input, process it, and then output it. So we are going to take these components one after the other and then look at them. So talking about vision, how do we go through this vision process? All we know is that we see with our eye. Is it just by seeing, if it's just seen with the eye, how is it that you see some people, their eyes are widely open, but they say they cannot see? During vision. Or you are processing the information first before
Madam,
you output.
the question again.
The question is, we have looked at the five senses that help us to take input as users. But we say in technology, mostly we are based on three. That is the vision, audio or the auditory system, and then the touch. So my question now is, when we say vision, before you can say, I have seen something, what goes on in it? Is it that your eye just captured the thing and then you say, I see, or something scientific happens?
So, madam, the eyes sees light and transfer it to the brain, and the brain transfers the light to images.
Andrews, can you please take it again? I didn't hear the beginning. There was a
I
glitch.
said the eye sees light and transfers to the brain, and the brain transfers the light to images.
Okay, so before we can say we see, and that means there is a light that
Yes,
reflects on something, and then the eye will capture it, so it reflects back to the
the
eye, the
brain.
inner eye, and then the brain will now process it. Okay, that's good. Any other idea? Any other contribution to that? Especially if you did science in the high schools and the middle schools. Yeah, I didn't do science. Yes, any other? Can someone help us? Or we think that is all? Okay, if that's all, then we'll take it like that. Now let's come to the auditory system. The auditory system, to what happens before you say, I hear? Because we all have long ears standing that everybody can see. But how is it that you speak and one person will hear, another person will not hear? So what happens?
Madam,
Yes, Sarah.
please, I think that when the ear listens to something, it sends it back to the brain to process it. Then we are able to understand what we are able to understand what that particular thing says. But in the case where the person cannot hear at all, that is when it cannot send any information to the brain to process.
Okay. Thank you. Any other opinion to that?
Madam, I think I'm trying.
You
I
try.
yeah,
Try.
I think the eardrum
Mm-hmm.
the eardrum receives that information and sends it to the brain. So those who can't hear is the eardrum that's at fault. Or yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Any other opinion? Can we have a third opinion to that? Where is Stephen? Is Stephen not in class? Stephen, why do you like to be quiet? Stephen Asamoah Anawada. Okay. So now let's move from the auditory to the touch. How about touch? How do you feel that someone has touched you, something has touched you, something has bent you before you say, Ajis? George? George, are you in there? If I mention your name 2 times and you don't respond, that means you are not with us. You've only connected, you left. So that you are absent in the class. So we know Stephen is absent. George, okay, so George too is absent. Adams,
Hello?
yes, Adams.
George is still Salon.
George is still Salon.
Yes, please.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
connected to a machine, and then I'm having challenges with my phone, so I'm using the phone at the moment. But I'm on the move. I'm moving home now.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's why I'm
All right.
connected to the phone.
All right, that's cool. No problem. In fact,
Sure.
myself, I'm connected through 2 devices.
Okay.
So Adams too, is Adams also somebody? Because I know we have Adams in this class. Yes, do you feel attached? You have muted yourself again. Unfortunately, it appears we can't hear you. Maybe there's a problem with your audio. We can't hear you. Justice, touch.
Yes, madam.
Yes.
That's so.
Mm-hmm.
With touch. So let's say when someone touches us, I think the skin has to do with the skin. It sends signals to the brain, and we feel, and we do feel that, yeah, we have been touched, and that's not.
All right, thank you. So now if we combine all these 3 um, sensory systems that we have discussed, so we are saying that all of them receive some stimulus. The science will say stimulus, meaning they receive some action, something. And receiving that thing, that stimulus is passed into the brain. So it's the brain that detects or that analyzes and then finally say that I captured this and this is what it means. Okay, so now let's look at it. So when it comes to information processing, we say we have the visual, we have the auditory, we have the haptic, and then the movement. So we put all this together and that gives us what? The sensory system. So information is stored in the memory. Now, whenever we receive any information through vision, through auditory or whatever, they are all stored inside the memory. And after that storage, it is processed. So it first captures, stores, and then processes it. And after the process, it is now linked to some emotion based on the question that Sariam asked, perception. Perception is also an emotion. So it leads to some emotional influences. And that is what determines the output of whatever input that we receive. So now picking the sensory systems one after the other, when we take the vision, we said the vision works in 2 stages. So we have the physical reception of the stimulus, That is where your eye is receiving the object. So, as also Justice, one of our colleagues said, there is a light that reflects on an object, and then the eye will capture that and then now transfer it back to the brain. So we have the physical reception of the stimulus, and we have the processing and interpretation of the stimulus. So the eye capturing the object based on light is the physical reception. Then after that capturing, the whatever is captured, the stimulus is now moved into the inner eye in the brain for the processing and then the interpretation. So until that process is done and the interpretation is made, you can never say, I have seen. You can't see. You cannot say, I have seen. All right. So when we take the physical eye, what happens? There's a mechanism for receiving light and then transforming it into electrical energy. And this light reflects from the object. So the object that you think you are seeing, you are holding an egg, you are holding pen, you are even holding your laptop. For you to be able to say, I have seen, there is a light that reflects on it, which transforms into electrical energy and reflects from the object into your inner eye. And those images are focused upside down on a retina. So some parts of your eye, like I said, I didn't do science. We only did integrated science, and those days, integrated science is different from what they are doing now. So whatever object that is captured is turned upside down and on the retina, and then the retina contains some rods for low light vision and cone for color vision. So these rods are what help us to understand. So before you can say this is green, that means the retina has worked to interpret that this a color green before you can say I have seen. So when it does that, then we have an object in the brain called the ganglion cells. And this dictates the pattern and then the movement of objects that you see. So if someone is passing, if someone is sitting, if a tree is moving, a car is moving, we have this ganglion that helps you detect the patterns and then the movement of those objects for you to conclude that I have seen. Now, when we go to the inner part, that is the processing and then the interpretation. The processing and then the interpretation aspect. After the physical eye has received this stimulus and then transmitted it into the brain, for the brain to be able to interpret, to say, I have seen, depends on the size and then the depth of the object. So sometimes if an object is too big, it's difficult for you to see. And when it's too small, it's also difficult for you to see. So when you have your phone and you hold the phone or any other object and you hold it so close to the eye, very close, or maybe let's say you touch it to your eye, you can't see it. If you think I'm lying, just try it. If you are holding your phone right now, you are reading, just bring the phone so closer to your eye. So when it is based on the size and then the depth of the object, that is what helps you to say that I have seen or I can see this. The next thing that also helps in the interpretation to let someone say I've seen is the brightness. So you are in a dark room, your eyes are working very well, you are holding an object in a dark room. There is no brightness, there is no light reflecting on that object, which will reflect back to the retina for it to capture it. So that one too, you cannot see. So seeing or the interpretation in the brain that does the seeing depends on one, the size and depth, the depth, two, the brightness, and then 3, the color. There are so many things that passes that we don't see because they are colorless. Air is there. It exists. That is why you can feel when the air is blowing. But because it doesn't have color, you cannot see it. So those are how we see objects. This is how the visual system works. So when you see someone with the eyes opened widely, you can see the white, you can see the black and everything, but yet the person cannot see. Then that means the inner interpretation, or the, how do you call it? The retina that will do the, uh, that will transfer the signals to the eye for interpretation might not be working. All right. So as part of the interpretation again, so the visual system compensates for movement. So based on movement, that's also help us to see. And then changes in luminance. When we say luminance, it's about brightness or light. So changes in the light. When the light is too high, it has another effect. When it's too dim, it has another effect. So changes in luminance is also considered. And then the context is used to resolve ambiguity. As we are seeing all these things, there is some ambiguity around it. Something that doesn't really show clear. But how are we able to do that? Or how are we able to clear that ambiguity? It's based on the context. I don't know if any of you are around 50 to 40 years. It gets to a point that you see, sometimes you pick some document and the document becomes a little blurry. Maybe you are reading it. There's some word you cannot clearly show, or let's say if there's an object and it is a little far from you, some of the text there becomes a little blurred that you may not be able to see. But you can clear that ambiguity if you understand the context. If you understand the context, you can just say, okay, I think this is what it is trying to say, or this is what is here. Then we also have the optical illusions, which sometimes occur due to overcompensation. Talking about optical illusion, we are talking about how the eye functions. So if it happens that we are not giving too much attention, or we overuse it, that can also have another issue. So when it comes to seeing or vision, these are some of the things that we need to know. Now, when it comes to optical illusion, how the eye capture things, we have 2 ways in which the eye capture objects. So 2 ways which can give us 4 directions. And the first one is, we say whenever an object is projected to the eye may capture the thing either from top to down or top to down, yes, or bottom up. So either top down or bottom up. That's the first one, which we call the Ponzo illusion. Then we have the second type, which is the Mulalaya illusion. That is, objects are captured either from the middle of the object and spread to the outside, or from outside and then to the inside. So our eyes, the eye itself moves top and down and then from left to right. So either the 2 eyes will move from the outer, that is the outer side, to the inner side, that is closer to your ear, or look at it from the closer, that's the inner side, from your ear side to the outer side, or that is from top to down and then down to top. So those are the 2 ways in which the eye captures an object. So when we are reading, there are several stages that we follow. So the first stage is that we do perception. So visually, you perceive the patterns of the objects. So you perceive the patterns, then the patterns are decoded using an internal representation of language. And this language or these patterns are interpreted using knowledge of syntax, semantics, and then pragmatics. So that means before you can even start reading, your brain should already hold some codes, some language pattern, some syntaxes that you already know. So when you take a test and you are reading, now the eye is capturing those individual characters on the page and mapping it to whatever the brain already has. So it decodes and then interprets. So when we say decoding, I have captured an object here. So that object, the eye should be able to turn it to what it understands and then interpret it, that is what, map it to a syntax that you already understand or a semantic. And then you'll be able to say, okay, I can read this. So you can take a Chinese book, the eye captures or perceives the pattern. It decodes for you to see some characters, but it cannot interpret it to match any syntax and semantic within your brain. So that's why you cannot read Chinese until you have learned. And once you learn, the brain will now store that patterns in your in the memory. So when you take any other object, it will map to it, interpret it, and then you'll be able to say, I have read. Reading involves circuits and then fixation. So you fix your eyes, moving the eye left and right, and then perception occurs during this fixation. As your eye is fixed on those objects, there is a perception. So you perceive something, and then the shape of the words are recognized. So that is why we say for you to be able to say I have seen, it depends on the size of the object. So when the shape or when the size is too small, for some people, depending on the age or depending on the capability of the visionary system, they will not be able to capture it. So the shapes are recognized, and then some negative contrast improves reading from negative contrast improves reading from computer screens. So as we are reading from the computer screens, you see, the reason why we don't have much problem reading from computer screens, there is so many things that will help you. And one of them is where you'll be able to adjust your screen to increase the font size. You'll be able to increase or adjust the brightness. So all these things will help you when you are reading from the computer screen. Now, when we come to the auditory system, the hearing, it said hearing provides information about your environment. It provides information about your environment. And this information is based on the distance, the directions, and then the object itself. So when we take the ear is divided into three. We have the outer part, which is the one that we see and call as ear. The one that the physical flesh that is standing. So we have that one that protects the inner amplified sounds. What that part that is to receive the signal, the stimulus that is passing, it receives it. So I've not experienced it yet, but I believe that those who do not have, if there is someone who doesn't have this outer part, it will influence the person's hearing capability because the physical eye which will be receiving the stimulus is cut off. So I believe most of them will not be heard well. Then aside that, we have the inner ear or the middle, so we have the middle ear which transmits sound as waves. So any sound that passes, it passes as waves. And then that middle ear will transmit it as what? A vibration to the inner ear. And then the inner ear, which we will call the eardrum, will now receive those vibrations and then transmit them to the auditory nerve. So they are transmitted as what? Impulses in the auditory nerves. So now you can say, I can hear. And when this is happening, before you can say, I hear, it's also based on three things. So hearing is what? Based on sound, whenever a sound is made. Now, for you to hear this sound, we have three things. In vision, we say we have what? The size and the depth, we have the brightness, we have the color. Now, when it comes to hearing, we have the pitch, we have the loudness, and then we have what we call the timbre. So the pitch is what? How frequent the sound occurs. Sometimes something will just beep once. You may not hear, but when it continues, that is when your ear will capture it. And then we also have the loudness, that's the amplitude. So how loud or how low the sound is. And then finally, we have the quality of the sound, the type of sound or the quality of the sound. So as we are all, as we are all together on this platform, if everybody should be speaking, we are all speaking, it will be very difficult for you to hear, even though there are sounds passing, but very difficult for you to hear and then to understand, because the sound that is passing is not what? Quality. There's so much noise in it. So that is how the hearing system also works. So we said the auditory system filters sounds. So it filters sounds. It can attend to sound over background noise. So when you are listening to something, that's why most, if you have done a little science, they will advise you that you should not be playing music and then your TV is also on, and then you're also talking on the phone at the same time, having different sources of sounds together, because you are going to, or it will affect your inner ear. Because the ear will be trying to filter the sound that is coming to get the quality out of it. But you are doing all these things at the same time. So which one is it paying attention to? Which one is it filtering? So you put too much pressure on the ear. Now we come to the touch. Maybe let me pause here. Any question or any contribution? Maybe you want to, based on what we have discussed, you want to add something to what we have said. But can you hear me?
Yes,
Am
madam.
I audible? Good. All right.
Yes, please, we can hear you.
Loud and clear.
All right, thank you. But there is no question.
Please,
All
for
right,
now,
so
no.
thank you. So now we come to the third one, which is the touch. We said the touch provides important feedback also about the environment. It may be one of the key senses for someone who is visually impaired. And that, yes, I think we all believe. Because when you take our money, they said there is some object on it that indicates whether it's 200 or it's 100 Ghana cedis, 10 cedis, and all that. In fact, me, I have tried. I closed my eyes and I tried. And when I tried, my fingers cannot trace to see that, okay, this is the object. It is triangle. It is a dot or whatever. But they do. So for the touch, that becomes a very key sensitive for them. And it also receives stimulus through what we call receptors. So there are receptors in the skin. We have some chemical, some components in our skin that help us receive that. And those receptors are divided into 3 categories. We have the thermoreceptors that help us to feel whether something is hot or cold. So before you can say I'm feeling cold, or before you touch and something is, that thing is cold, then that means that thermoreceptor is working. Then we also have the nociceptors, which feels pain. So for someone to pinch you, for your leg or something, or for you to hit or something hitting you, for you to feel it, then you should know that your nociceptors are working. And finally, we have the mechanoreceptors, which help us to feel pressure, some pressure in the body. And some areas are more sensitive than others. So some parts of the body are more sensitive than others. Maybe I should ask, which parts of our body are more sensitive?
The
Which
eye.
parts of our body? The
The
eye is
skin.
very sensitive.
The skin.
But do
The
we
skin.
use the eye to feel something? Here we are talking about touch.
Adam.
Okay, it's the body.
If I say the body from head to the toe, every
The
part is
skin.
our
The
body.
skin.
The skin.
Which part of the skin? We have skin around us everywhere. So talking about the entire body, we are saying that some parts of the body is very sensitive than others. We are talking about the whole body, which has the skin around it. So we have the skin around every part of our body. But some parts of this body is very sensitive. So which part?
Our palm.
Our palm.
The mouth.
Hey, Bray. Okay, so the mouth. Why do you say that? Why do you say the mouth?
Well, the mouth.
Your line is very bad. We can hardly hear you. Can someone help us? Okay, Monkwaya research now. I can tell me. Monkwaya research. All right. So now we have looked at the 3 main sensory systems that helps the human being to receive information. Then the next thing that we are looking at is what we call movement. This movement we are discussing here is not about the human being walking from here to GCTU or throwing your legs, throwing your hands. But the movement here is related to when your eye captures an object, the transmission from the point that the retina captured the object to when that stimulus is transmitted into the brain. That's what we mean by the movement. When you hold something, from the time that you held the thing, from the time that you felt that you have been bent, there is a movement. That is the transmission of the signal into the brain. When a sound passes and then your outer ear catches it, there's a transmission from that to the brain. So it's this movement that we are talking about. So we said the movement is the time taken to respond to stimulus. That is the reaction time and then the movement time. The time taken to respond to stimulus. And before you can respond to any stimulus, that means that transmission has gone into the brain. So this movement time depends on age, fitness, gender, and so on. When I hold something, the time taken for the thing to burn me, does it vary? Agree that it varies based on age, based on fitness, based on health. Sairam, do you agree?
Yes, please.
Can you give me an example, a typical example?
Madam, please let me think about it and come back.
Okay, so, all right. My gentlemen, can you give us an example that
Madam, please, the question.
the question is, we are talking about movement. I believe you heard that one. And I
Yes,
said
please.
that, do you believe that age can be a factor that, let's say when I hold something, for the thing to bend me or not to bend me, age plays a major role in it?
No.
Okay. Brown said, mhm. So who else
Madam.
is saying no or yes?
Okay.
Sairam, you are back. Okay.
Yes. Please, I believe it's due to age, because sometimes the consistency counts. If you are used to holding something hot, the brain also processes it and you're able to lift it without maybe feeling too much pain. But somebody who is new to it, just maybe with a touch, the person feels severe pain.
So you've been holding hot things so much that it doesn't bend you, right? You know, the last time we were discussing this with the regular the regular school, and interesting, someone said, "Oh, this one depends on gender, because women can hold hot things. They can even use their bare hand to carry things on fire and all that." Uh, I don't think it is based on gender, but I would rather believe what Sarah is saying. We are always with fire. It's something we are always doing. So it gets to a point that the system learns it. And then aside that, age also matters. So when we get someone who is quite older, at that time, the person's receptive system have become weak. Without those receptive systems, when you hold something hot, you won't feel it. Something cold, you won't feel it. So because their receptive system has become hot, it takes a little longer time for them to feel bent. So that is why within that second, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, you can carry something hot and then put it on the something from the fire and put it somewhere, because the receptive systems are quite weak.
Madam, I think it's just the system, because sometimes I also experience that. Sometimes if your blood is not flowing and your leg, let's say how you have been saying that spider net, something like that.
Mm,
Yes, you can touch a hot substance that you will not even feel it. Then later before you feel the pain.
good. So that means at that time, your receptive systems were not working properly. So once they are not working properly, that means you can feel that. Okay, so looking at movement, how information travels into your brain. We say when it's about visual, like seeing, it takes 200 milliseconds And then when it's about auditory, it takes 150, and then pain takes about 700. So you can see that the pain delays a little. Okay, so Fritz has given us a law that helps us to calculate this movement into the brain. So he said when we want to know the movement time, it is what? A plus B log 2 into bracket D over S plus 1, where A and B are empirically determined constants. Then MT is the movement time, D is the distance, so the distance of the sound, the distance of the object that you are perceiving, and so on. Then the S depends on the size of the target. All right, so after this movement, now we have looked at the sensory systems. We look at the visual, we look at the auditory, we look at the touch. And we've also learned that when all these three happens, there is a movement. So where is the movement going to? The movement goes into the memory. So now when it goes into the memory, what happens there? There are three types of memories, or the three stages in which the memory works. So we have the first one, which is the sensory memory. And the sensory memory is, if it is a computer, then we'll say that is the, how do you call it? The main memory. That is the RAM. Anything that passes, it captures it. So whatever your eye sees, the sensory memory captures it. Whatever the ear hears, it captures. Whatever feel or touch, it captures. So it keeps on capturing and capturing and capturing. But it doesn't really save them. So as it is capturing and capturing, it filters to see whether you are paying attention to some of those things that it captures. So when it realizes that some of them are being paid attention to, then it will now save those ones into the next memory, which is the short-term memory or the working memory. So the gentlemen, those of you that when you are driving and then you are seeing the ladies passing, you see particular one, you watch, your car will pass, you still watch through your mirror. So at that time that you are doing that next watch of watching again, then that signal or that information is now moving from the sensory memory to your short-term memory or the working memory. Then from the working memory will also store those things that you paid attention to. Then it will also study it to see if there are some of them rehearsing. You are paying critical analysis to. You were driving, you saw them, the ladies passing plenty. Some are big, slim, fat, and so on. But there's one particular person, when you saw the person, you are still looking at the person in your mirror. Now the car is gone, the mirror cannot capture the person again. Then you yourself will now sit down and be recalling what you saw. At that point, you are rehearsing. You are now tracing. Some of you have been drawing people in your mind. Mebuana. Then that is when you'll be doing the artwork. You'll be tracing whatever you saw. So at that point, you are doing what? You are rehearsing. So finally, the image or that data will be saved in your long-term memory, which is the permanent memory. It's the same thing about reading and then seeing. So you are learning, you are reading, something is projected on the board, you are flipping through and all that. When it happens that you are paying attention to something, some particular portion, the memory will now move it to your short-term The sensory memory will move it to your short-term memory. And if after that attention, you now start to rehearse, to recall, to play back, then you have moved to the long-term memory. So that is how the memory also works. Okay, if there is any question, you can ask. If there is no question, then we can move on. All right. So in the sensory memory, we say we receive what? We receive the stimuli. So stimulus is the singular, and then when it is plural, then it is stimuli. So we receive this stimuli through our senses, whether it is vision, auditory, or touch. And when we receive it, then they are stored in the buffer. So when it is about visual, things that we receive through vision, they are stored in what we call the iconic memory. Things that we receive through sound, through the hearing, are stored in the echoic memory. And then things that we receive through touch are stored in what we call the haptic memory. So these are the three types of memory that we have. So we have memory for the touch, we have memory for vision, we have memory for the auditory. So all these things are stored in there. Okay, so for this ones about the short-term memory, you can read about all those things. So why are we learning all this? We are learning all this in order to understand human being. So that when we are designing a system, you can put this human factor in it. When you're designing a system for someone who is visually impaired, you know that the person cannot see. So you have to make good use of the sound. If it's someone who is deaf, the person cannot hear. So you don't include sound, but rather it should be what? Auditory. If it's someone who is deaf and dumb or whatever, you should know that the person is very sensitive with touch. So most of the systems or most of the communication should be done through touch. And sometimes the person is not visually impaired or all these things, but the age matters. And then health also matters. Like what I think I've forgotten the name. Someone mentioned that it's about the system. Sometimes when you feel numb, when your body is numb and you are carrying hot things and all that, you can't feel it. That's health issues. That's fitness. So if you are not too fit, if you have those health conditions, so if you are developing a system for people who have some health conditions, you need to consider, so we need to understand people. Now, when we look at what we have on the board right now, we have the first characters and then we have the second characters in there. The first character, you see that we put everything together. If I should, next 2 seconds, I take it off and as I mentioned them, it will be difficult for you. But when we look at the second one, which we have spaced a little, that will be easier for you. Now, when you look at the alphabet in there, if it is something you could read, if your system, your brain could understand it to interpret, do the coding and then interpret, I just did it for just 2 seconds and I take it off and ask what was there. You could easily, but these are words that are not, or that could not be interpreted by your brain. So in this case, you just only have to memorize. So if you are not able to memorize, you cannot mention that. So we need to understand all the concepts, all these perceptions about human beings. Developing a system, we know what to put in. To see that it fits for me or it doesn't fit for me. Any question? All right. So now when information enters into the memory, we look at the memory. We have the sensory memory, we have the short-term memory, and then we have the long-term memory. So if it happens now, the information has entered into the long-term memory. Now we say information is what? Is stored permanently. It is stored permanently. But when information is stored permanently, does it mean we don't forget? Even though they are stored permanently, we still forget. And why do we forget? We forget because once we start accessing, or when we don't access that particular information, or when there is a slow access on that information, then we move to a level called decay. You have information decay. You end up forgetting whatever you have, or whatever you have either listened to, heard, or so you end up what? Forgetting that. And if we forget, is there a way that we can still get it back? Hello, if I forget something, can I still get it back?
Madam, please, I think you can.
How? I've forgotten the thing, so how do I get it back?
When you
Mm-hmm.
recall some part of it.
When you recall
Some part, like a
some
small
part.
portion.
Okay.
Or
So when
something
I
can take your remembrance.
something can happen and then you still remember.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Okay. So in long-term memory, we said there's something we call semantic memory structure. This provides access to information, represents relationship between bits of information. So like the gentleman said, once we recall some part of it, some small bit of it, there's a possibility of we remembering other things. And then Seram also said something can happen that will let you remember. So that is what we call what the semantics. So there is a relationship between something that happened and then something that you are having in your memory. That is why you can recall or you can remember. So we have the semantic memory structure, which help us to create some relationship between something, and this will help us to always remember. So let's look at the model of the semantic network, which calls into the semantic structure. So we have what we call the inheritance. So we have a particular object, and that object has some sub-objects. So if I'm able to get the main object, I'll be able to remember the sub. Or if I'm able to get some of the sub, I should be able to trace it back to the main one. So there is this inheritance which provides what the child nodes, which inherit properties of parent nodes. And there's a relationship, or there should be a relationship between bits of information on this network. So we have some example here. So when I take an object like a dog, let me just come here. So when we say a dog, which is the, how do you call it? The mother object. We know that a dog has some relationship with something. A dog is related to what? Animal. So you can say a dog is an animal. And the animals breathe. Animals move. And when we take a dog, we know that a dog also has some properties. A dog barks, it has 4 legs, it has a tail, and so on. So if it happens that I've seen a dog before, but I've forgotten that I've seen a dog. When I saw that dog, it barked, so I know dogs bark. When I saw that dog, it waved the tail, I know it has a tail. Now I have forgotten about dog. If something happens and I hear a bark somewhere, that bark that I heard could help me remember that there's an animal called a dog. Are we following?
Yes, madam.
Yes, madam.
So this is the semantic network. So a course that I have done before, a subject I've learned before, something that has happened to me before, another in a course of time I may forget, but something will happen, and that thing could be linked to whatever I knew before, and that is how the recall is done. If there is any question, you can ask. Okay, so all this are about the semantic network. Okay, so now, when on this long-term memory, when this information is stored, like we said, information is stored based on what? Rehearsal. So you've rehearsed the information for several times. You're always thinking about it. So it moves it from the short term to the long term. And when this happens, there are so many things that comes with it. So one, for the information to be stored there depends on what? The total time, the amount of time that you use to rehearse. Then we also have the distribution of practice effects. So how often do you practice? How often do you practice whatever has happened? So that also help you to, or help the information to be stored on the long-term memory. And also the structure, the meaning, and then the familiarity of the information that you have received will also help or store on the long term or not to store. So you have experienced something and then you associate yourself to the thing so well, you are interested in it, or you feel it's a very nice experience that you've encountered. Maybe it's even just once, but that information can store forever because you familiarize yourself with that particular data that you have received. But once you stop familiarizing yourself with it, once you stop practicing it, once you stop rehearsing it, then you can forget. And that is where the decay sets in. So information is lost gradually, but very slow. It is there, but you'll be losing it little by little. And sometimes to interference. So if I'm not rehearsing that, then there's some other thing that is now taking over my brain, I'll end up forgetting the previous one. So those of you who have exes, they have maltreated you. Now you've gotten someone very nice, someone, and you are still retrieving the old past, using that one against the current situation. It will not help you. So let the new one, the very good experience that you have now, overthrow the new one. So let it interfere and then throw the old one away. Okay. So whenever we forget, yes, we still can remember through a recall or what we call recognition. So with recall, it's information reproduced from memory can be assisted by cues. So I've forgotten something. Then you'll be there, and then someone will say, do you remember this, our old schoolmate? Then you're like, who is that? They will mention the name, I can't remember. Then they will start to describe the person. As this thing is happening, then you are also trying to bring or send your memory back. So as you are trying to fetch through your memory, going back into your memory, that is a recall. You see, the brain works like when you have a cabinet or a wardrobe, let me put it that way. Especially with the ladies, we'll be buying things, buying. Even get to a point that you've forgotten that you have a particular dress. But one day you get up and say, oh, today I don't know. I want to move through my items. So you'll be moving with that, you go and And so at that point that you are moving the top ones and then going down, you are doing a recall. So when you see you see that dress, then you raise it, hey, I remember this dress. That is what? Recognition. So we recall and then we recognize. So if I'm telling you about some old friend, at the point when your mind is, streaming back and back to see whether you can really catch up, you are doing a recall. So if it happens that you are able to get and you now recognize the face, yeah, I remember she was fresh, she was like this. They say, yeah, yes. So that is what the information retriever. So you will be able to retrieve information that is decayed, or sometimes it's not even decayed, but it's something that is what you are not paying attention to. So we can always retrieve that. Now, also in retrieving information, there's one critical thing that helps us, that is thinking. Thinking. So when we are thinking, we are doing reasoning. Whenever we are doing thinking, we are doing what we call reasoning. And this reasoning can be in three parts. Deduction reasoning, we have the induction reasoning, and then we have the abduction reasoning. This reasoning helps us solving problems. When I say solving problems, it's not only when you have a challenge, but it helps you to also do something, whatever you want to do. In computing world, whatever we want to do is a problem that we are solving. Whether it is good or bad, it's a problem. So until we do it, we have not solved that. Okay. So deduction. So when we say deduction reasoning, what does it mean? Are you with me?
Yes, madam.
I've spoken for too long, so you should continue the teaching so that I also learn more. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Yes, I'm having challenges with my network for this. I was off for a while. I couldn't hear anything. Sorry.
Are you at a program somewhere?
No, I went to work and then I'm coming home.
Uh,
Yes.
so you could not. So you were not following it.
At the point I was on it and then at the point I got lost. I wasn't hearing anything. I'm doing a hotspot for another phone.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
sorry.
right. Francis. Francis Kwejo. Francis Kwejo. Francis. I have three people who are absent today.
So, madam.
I have Stephen. I have Francis.
Madam, I'm here.
You are here.
Yes, please.
You make me call you, sir. Why?
I stepped out for a while, that's why.
You are muted, though. You are muted, so unmute yourself. What is deductive reasoning? Francis, unmute yourself and then speak. Adams. Desmond Tete.
Madam,
Yes. Deductive reasoning.
okay, so let's say you are following some street processes that you derive answers from. Like I eat every morning, like every morning you eat breakfast. So you know that okay, this morning and or every morning you wake up and eat breakfast, or if there are any other things or conclusions that you have to derive from that thing that you are doing. Since you follow that perception logically, you use it to derive answers from whatever is going on. So let's say you ate breakfast in the morning and you got sick, so you know that, oh, okay, this is what I ate in the morning, and then okay, so maybe due to this, that's why maybe I'm having this stomach upset or whatever. So you derive your conclusions from that.
Thank you.
So, madam, we are reasoning from past circumstances or situations.
Okay. So you are reasoning from past circumstances or
Yeah.
situations
Yes.
or some logical thing that you have learned over time. All right. So they've given us an example here that if it is Friday, then she will go to work. So because you know that when it is Friday, every Friday she goes to work. So even when someone says, "Oh, let's go and visit her," so oh, because today is Friday, she will not be at home. But for all you know, she'll even be there. Maybe that day she didn't go, but you have already logically concluded because of what you know. And these things normally happen in our lives. We logically conclude based on a past reason that or a past knowledge that we have. I remember I was teaching in a particular private university, and the HOD there was changed. So a new HOD came. By then I have never met. I didn't even know that there was a new HOD. So I was there one day, and then someone called me. Are you Rebecca? Blah blah blah. And I said yes. I'm the new HOD, and I've realized they've assigned you this programming course. But I think we have to talk about it. And I said, okay, I'm fine. When should I come? Then she gave me a date. Then I went. Do you know her reason? She was like, how could a woman teach programming? So that's what she knew, that it is, when it's talk about programming, it's about men. IT is about men. So how could they assign programming class to the woman? And it was two different programming classes that were assigned to me. But interestingly, this was a woman, someone that I've seen before. She was my lecturer. And me, I started programming before I did my first degree. So even that time when I was schooling, when she was my lecturer, we have developed a system for the school. So the school was using our system for billing and everything. But I think the new number, she doesn't have my number, and then the new number that she was also using to call me, I also didn't have it. So that day when I got to the office, and the name that she mentioned when she called to, I couldn't recall. I know her with just one name. She has about 4 or 5 names. So I went there, I went to the office, and when I opened the door, and this my lecturer. Then he said, hey, Rebecca, was it you? Oh, if it is you, then I don't have problem. No, go and teach. So she was associating, she was linking it to something. So meaning what? She was making a deductive reasoning that a woman can never teach programming. So why should he assign 2 different programming courses to a woman? And so she saw me and said, oh, I knew this person and then I know her capabilities. So these are some of the mistakes that we do. But how will this influence our system design as programmers? So now let's bring it to life application. How will it influence our design as our system design? Yes, as developers. Hello. How will deductive reasoning affect our design as developers? Because we are learning human-computer interaction, where some of you will be developing systems for people. So
Please, there may be bias in the conclusions that you draw from the previous answers or whatever you have. So if there is a bias inside, when you are drawing the design, you implement that bias and you see that the usability will favor some group of people and will not favor the others.
all right, that's very good. But I would love it if you have given us a particular, a specific issue. Any other opinion? Deduction reasoning on system design.
So,
So
madam,
here,
you are designing a system for a church,
okay.
and you conclude that maybe the church doesn't take tithe. So the system,
Debbie
you won't.
doesn't take time to be Debbie Andrews doesn't take time to be a man.
Hey,
You should rather say the church takes time because we know when it
okay,
comes to church on
okay,
tithes.
yes. Takes tithes, and the system you don't include a tithe collection
Debbie,
platform.
you are misleading yourself.
Okay, so madam, I want to say something.
But you know, he has a very good example, so I want him to say it well. So let him finish so that you can come in.
Okay.
So Andrews, it's a very good example. So please restructure your statement well.
So the church accepts tithes, takes tithes, and your system, uh, your system doesn't include a tax collection or
Are you saying tax or tithe?
tithe. Sorry.
Okay. All right. He's
Madam,
giving a very
can
good
I
example.
help him?
Yes, help him. He's giving a very good example, but he could not explain himself. So please help him.
Yeah, so it is believed that almost every church take tithe or accept tithe. So you develop the system and you have tithe, but this particular church you are designing for doesn't accept tithe. So I've assumed that every church accepts tithe. Meanwhile, this particular one doesn't accept tithe. I don't know
Okay.
if I'm correct.
Yeah, you are correct. You are correct that once it is a church, definitely they pay tithe. Do you get it? Once it is a church, or churches pay that. So once it is a church, definitely they pay tithe. So you make the system such tithe bill mandatory. If there is no value there, it shouldn't save because you are making this deductive rating pay tithe. Good. So let's look at the next type of reasoning, which is the inductive. induction, to generalize from cases seen to cases unseen. All elephants we have or all elephants have trans. Induction. That is generalization. When it comes to Africa, especially Ghana, we have some interesting generalizations. So please forgive me, those of you on the platform. This is just on a lighter side. They said, "Oh, all Voltarians steal fowl." So you see, "Oh, koklo deka," and then we also say, "Guns are." How do I put it? They like fighting. We say houses or Muslims are troublesome. So once we see you that you are from that ethnic group, then we generalize it. But it will interest you to know that whatever we generalize is totally wrong. It is totally wrong, especially when it comes to this Hausa people. I stayed with I was renting some house in some Muslim people. I stayed there for 9 years. The people were just good. Very good, peaceful, calm. And I was like, so meaning all this perception that we've been having all this while, it doesn't apply to all of them. It's just some few. So based on that few, then we end up generalizing everybody. So when it comes to system development, how do we take this one too? Hello. Our time is almost up. Let's be wrapping up. Oh, are you with me?
Yes, madam.
Ayana, I would prefer we close a little earlier before time so that you can add that minutes to your 15 minutes break before the next lecturer comes in. Okay, so let me say, go and think through it.
So,
Yes.
madam,
Okay.
so
Yes, yes.
you are developing a system for a restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
and you conclude that the restaurant is sells only chicken,
Okay.
and and uh, madam, I have to come back.
All right, so come back. So generalization, you are developing a system. Then it's like, oh, once we are human beings we see, human beings hear. So you develop the system, and then everything is about what? Seeing and hearing. Things that they can see, things that they can hear. What about someone who cannot see? Someone who cannot hear? Do we get it? So you don't generalize a system that, oh, every human being has eyes to see. So whatever system that I'm developing, everybody should see. It's all about seeing that people should see. It's all about hearing, so people should hear. So you provide text, you provide how do you call it? Sounds. Those cannot see and cannot hear. How would they use the system? So these are the reasonings that we have to consider. These are the reasonings that we have to consider. Now, in all this reasoning, in all this human part and all this, what we are saying is that there is what? A little bit of error that comes in. So as we are receiving information, auditory, haptic, and all those things, errors are bound to happen. Sometimes even during the memory recall, you can make an error. Then we have two types of error. The first one is what we call a slip, and the second one is a mistake. So we say the slip is when the person has a right intention, but fails to produce it right, or failed to do it right. So someone is thinking about something right. Meanwhile, when he wants to say it, then he would rather say something different or say it wrong. That is the slip. And we have a mistake when the person have a wrong intention. And the slip as what? The mistake. You were thinking about something correct, but you ended up saying it wrongly. Then it's, oh, it was a mistake. It's not a mistake, it was a slip. And so these are some of the errors that we have to consider. Now, in our perception, in retrieving, storing and retrieving information and all those things, so they are backed by what? Emotions. So emotion clearly involves both cognitive and then physical responses to stimuli. So emotions also affect the way we receive information or the way we perceive information and then the output that we provide. So when someone is angry, the way you even enter the data into the system or the way you receive information from the system is affected. When someone is sick, it's affected and all those things. So those are things that we always need to consider. And all this is also based on what? The human differences or the individual differences. Talking about individual differences, we have the long term, which is sex, your gender. Your gender is a long term difference. You can never change it. So those of you who are thinking of changing from male to female to male, please stop it because you can't. You can only change one part, the outer part, that's the only thing, but the inner part, you can't change it. Then when it comes to your physical and then intellectual abilities, these are also some of the human individual differences. Then with the short-term differences, we have stress, fatigue, when the person is not feeling well, health issues, all those things are also part. And then the changing, we have an individual difference that change. When someone is a baby, moving to a teenager, a young adult to the adult age, and then finally to what we call the aged. This one what changes. So all these factors in how human being receives, process, and then outputs information. All right. So if there is no further question, if there is any question, please please ask. But if there is no question, then we'll end our class here for today. Thank you so much for your time. I've uploaded. Oh, okay, I think so. I uploaded the one we did last week. So I'll upload this and then two other. What we did today is about the human. So I'll upload the computer and then the interaction. So please read about them. For the computer, they will not discuss that one in class because much I say a computer from primary up to now. Input, output, process, and all those things. So please read about them because we'll be examined on it. God willing, when we meet next week, we'll look at the interaction. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you too.
Thank
We
you
wish you.
too.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you too, Mom.
Okay, bye-bye.
Have a blessed week.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
And okay, bye.